I guess it's a perfect way to segue to the Giants, Tom, because the way you just described the Patriots getting the quarterback right before hiring the coach that is the perfect fit for what's needed, and then to surround the new quarterback with talent, it does kind of set up for the Giants to be next year's Patriots, just as a way of making an analogy, because Dart's there. They're going to get Scattaboo and Malik Neighbors back. Defensively, they've got studs all over the place, right? I mean, the question is who's the right guy? And I give you the floor on what the Giants are thinking as to who the right guy could be. Tom.
Well, first of all, Rich, you make a great point because people have asked me, do you think this is a good job? It's absolutely a good job. I mean, think about the patience that ownership exhibited with Brian Daboll even over the past few years. Yes, they got into the playoffs that first season. They won a playoff game. They overachieved. But his firing this week was the culmination of a lot of different things. This is the third straight year that the Giants started 2-8. And they did that with blowing 4 double-digit leads on the road. If they can get a stop in the 8 seconds left in week 2 against the Cowboys, maybe the season is different. If they can not blow an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter against the Broncos, maybe this plays out differently. Even the Bears game, they've got that game seemingly in hand, and somehow it gets away from them. It's that repeat inability to finish games that brought us to that point that they felt like they needed to make a change right now. But if you are a coach on either side of the ball, you're looking at this and saying, this is not a bare cabinet. We've got building blocks. It's not just Jackson Dart. You've got 2 running backs. Obviously, Cam Scattaboo right now is out for the season, but Cam Scattaboo, if I'm not mistaken, had more yards from scrimmage than Saquon Barkley at the time that he suffered that injury. They've got Tyrone Tracy. Malik Neighbors is out for the season, but he should be fully healthy coming off of the torn ACL for 2026. They've got a left tackle in Andrew Thomas. They've got, I believe, 3 of their starting offensive linemen who are under contract. And then defensively, you look at those guys, Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence on the interior. Even on the back end, you've got Javon Holland and Paulson Adebo. You're walking into a situation where you can convince yourself, hey, if we get the right people in place, this should not take long to get this thing going in the right direction. So who is the right coach for that situation? My understanding in talking to people involved there is that it's not a linear, hey, we got to have an offensive coach, even though you look at the Giants' history going back essentially since Bill Parcells, they've hired a series of offensive-minded coaches. Joe Judge was a little bit different. He was predominantly a special teams guy, but had trained on offense. But, Ben McAdoo and Pat Shurmur and Brian Daboll, that's not going to be necessarily a prerequisite, even though getting Jackson Dart going and developed the right way is certainly a big part of it. In terms of the defensive coaches, if you're thinking, all right, I'm coming in and I've got a pass rush and I've got at least some parts on the back end to work with, this could be an attractive job to a variety of different coaches. I know this week they play the Packers. Jeff Hafley, who is from New Jersey, this would be his dream job, a team he grew up rooting for. He's got one of the best defenses in the NFL, and he's got head coaching experience at Boston College. I would think a guy like that would be in the mix. I would think that Steve Spagnuolo, even Antonio Pierce, who have histories with the Giants, would potentially be under consideration. And then you've got this broad swath of all these young coaches around the league. I should mention Matt Nagy in the experienced bucket as well. But there's not a Mike Vrabel, all right? There's not a slam dunk. This guy's definitely getting a job this year. Nor is there a Ben Johnson, a guy who is a young, up-and-coming offensive mind who's got such a track record and has had so much interest in head coaching interviews in the past. You're like, okay, if Ben wants to take one, he is going to get one this year. The closest thing is probably Joe Brady, but Sean McDermott is having to fend off questions this week about is he going to fire Joe Brady as his offensive coordinator. I do think Joe Brady's name is going to be hot. It's just not quite on par with Ben Johnson. So I would anticipate this being a methodical process for the Giants. They've now got a jump start on that. Joe Shane is going to lead the search process. He is not going to be the one making the final call. That's going to go up to layers of ownership here, but this is a good job, and a lot of it does start with the organizational belief. And you would think the belief among the coaches watching the tape that Jackson Dart, he's not a fully developed product. He's got to learn how to take some contact off his body, not take all those hits, but he's got upside that is going to intrigue a lot of people, especially, Rich, when you remember this 2026 quarterback draft class is not shaping up to be one where you want to need a quarterback.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.